Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Galactic Empire Panics, That Can't Be Human Technology. Commander Reed stood at the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory, his 4 eyes fixed on the main display. The unknown vessel that had appeared at the edge of Imperial space continued its steady approach. Small by Imperial standards, the ship showed none of the elegant curves or crystalline structures common to civilized species. "Status report," Reed demanded, his secondary arms twitching with irritation. Officer Jax consulted his terminal. "The vessel remains on its current trajectory, Commander. Our scans show primitive metallurgy and basic propulsion systems." He paused, mandibles clicking in confusion. "However, there are power signatures we cannot identify. They don't match any known species in our database." Reed's upper eyes narrowed. The Galactic Empire had catalogued every spacefaring race within 50,000 light-years. An unknown species was unprecedented in his 3-century career. Emperor Vorex must be informed immediately, he decided. "Prepare the diplomatic vessel. I will lead the first contact team myself." Captain Thomas Wilson of the Earth vessel Defiance watched the massive Imperial ship through the bridge viewport. Its size alone was intimidating, easily 20 times larger than his own ship. "They're hailing us again, Captain," Lieutenant Parker reported from the communications station. Wilson nodded. On screen, the main display flickered to life, revealing a being with 4 eyes, bluish skin, and multiple lenses. The universal translator struggled briefly before the alien's words became clear. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Reed of the Galactic Imperial Force. You have entered sovereign Imperial territory. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Wilson straightened his uniform jacket. Humanity's first official contact with alien life would be recorded in history books. He cleared his throat. "This is Captain Thomas Wilson of the Earth vessel Defiance. We are on a mission of peaceful exploration from the United Systems of Earth. We were unaware this region was claimed territory." All 4 of Commander Reed's eyes blinked simultaneously. "Earth? This designation is not in our records. We're relatively new to interstellar travel." Wilson explained carefully, omitting certain details. "Our civilization only recently developed faster-than-light capabilities." Reed's secondary arms made a gesture the translator couldn't interpret. "We request a diplomatic meeting. Prepare to receive a shuttle with our representatives." Wilson exchanged glances with his first officer, Commander Harris. "We would be honored," he replied. "Our docking bay will be ready in 30 minutes. The Imperial diplomatic vessel approached the human ship with caution. "On board." Commander Reed and Science Officer Plex studied the crude vessel through viewing ports. "Such primitive design," Plex noted. "Visual scanning ports instead of sensor arrays, exposed communication antennas, and what appears to be basic projectile defense systems." Reed wasn't convinced. Yet they achieved faster-than-light travel. Something doesn't add up. The shuttle docked with surprising ease. The airlock cycled, and Reed led his team of 4 into the human vessel. The gravity was slightly stronger than Imperial standard, and the atmosphere carried an unfamiliar scent. Captain Wilson waited with a small reception team. Reed immediately noticed the strange physiology of these humans. They stood on 2 legs with just 2 arms and a single pair of eyes. Their bodies appeared soft, lacking any natural armor or protective features. Most shocking was their exposed skin, no scales, carapace, or even proper fur for protection. "Welcome aboard the Defiance," Wilson said, extending a hand in their cultural greeting gesture. Reed stared at the appendage momentarily before mimicking the gesture awkwardly with one of his secondary limbs. The human's grip was surprisingly firm. "We are curious about your species," Reed said carefully. "The Empire has catalogued all known spacefaring races in this sector of the galaxy. Your presence is unexpected." Wilson smiled. Earth is approximately 70 light-years from here. We've been exploring outward for about 15 years now. Science Officer Plex activated a scanning device, which caused the humans to tense noticeably. Is that necessary? Commander Harris asked, hands subtly shifting toward her sidearm. Reed gestured for Plex to lower the device. Merely standard protocol. We are curious about your biology. Your species appears quite fragile. Wilson's smile didn't waver. Appearances can be deceiving, Commander. The diplomatic meeting continued in a conference room where both sides exchanged basic information. Reed noted that the humans carefully avoided specifics about their military capabilities or the exact location of their home system. The Galactic Empire spans over 3,000 star systems, Reed explained. Emperor Vorax has ruled for 8 centuries, bringing peace and order to all civilized species. As new races achieve space travel, they naturally join the Empire for mutual protection and advancement. Naturally, Wilson repeated in an unreadable tone. Reed continued, all ships entering Imperial space must submit to inspection and register with the nearest Imperial outpost. We will need to examine your propulsion systems and weapons capabilities. The mood in the room shifted instantly. The humans exchanged glances. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Wilson said firmly. Our technologies are proprietary. We'd be happy to register our presence and establish diplomatic relations, but the Defiance will not be subject to inspection. Reed's upper eyes widened in surprise. No species has ever refused an Imperial directive so directly. Perhaps you misunderstand, he said, his voice hardening. This is not a request. Imperial law applies to all vessels in Imperial space. Wilson stood slowly. And perhaps you misunderstand, Commander. The Defiance is sovereign territory of the United Systems of Earth. We didn't know we were entering claimed space, but now that we do, we're happy to depart your territory immediately. Reed had never encountered such defiance from a seemingly inferior species. That would be unwise, Reed warned. The Empire controls all local jump points. For your own safety, Imperial escorts would need to guide you. Well, we'll take our chances, Wilson replied coldly. This meeting is concluded. You have 30 minutes to return to your vessel, Commander. As the Imperial delegation returned to their shuttle, Reed's mind raced. These humans were either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Either way, they would soon learn the price of defying the Empire. Your assessment, Reed, asked Plex once they were alone in the shuttle. Primitive but curious, the science officer replied. Their physical form suggests evolution on a low-threat world, no natural weapons, minimal sensory capabilities. Their technology appears functional but basic. I believe they are overestimating their capabilities. Reed wasn't so certain. There's something in their eyes. That confidence, it reminds me of the Arcturus rebellion. The rebellion that was crushed in a single day. Yes, Plex reminded him. But not before they destroyed 3 Imperial cruisers, Reed said, staring back at the human ship. As their shuttle docked with the Imperial flagship, Reed made his decision. Inform Admiral Grant. Tell him we've encountered an unregistered species that refuses to comply with Imperial law. Request a light battle group to escort this human vessel to Station 9. The humans will learn respect one way or another. The Empire has stood for millennia. What threat could one ship of soft, fragile bipeds possibly pose? Admiral Grant reviewed Commander Reed's report with growing irritation. His long fingers tapped against the polished surface of his command table as the holographic display showed the small human vessel. And you say these creatures refuse direct Imperial orders? Grant asked, his crest rising slightly in annoyance. Yes, Admiral, Reed replied. Despite their apparent technological inferiority, they showed no fear. Grant snorted harshly through his breathing slits. Ignorance breeds confidence. These humans simply don't understand the power of the Empire yet. He stood to his full height, towering over Commander Reed. Assemble a containment fleet. 3 cruisers should be sufficient to teach these primitives their place. Is that not excessive for one small vessel? Admiral Reed asked cautiously. Grant's eyes narrowed. The Empire didn't become the dominant force in the galaxy by appearing weak. We will make an example of these humans. Their ship will be dissected, their technology catalogued, and their crew will serve as appropriate specimens for the Imperial Academy's Xenobiology Department. On board the Defiance, Captain Wilson called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. Imperial forces are mobilizing, Lieutenant Parker reported. Long-range scans show 3 large vessels moving to intercept our position. Commander Harris frowned. So much for diplomatic solutions. Wilson nodded grimly. Activate Protocol Omega. All non-essential systems on standby. Prepare the Mirage system. Chief Engineer Bell spoke up. Captain, Mirage hasn't been field tested at this scale. There's a 22% chance of power grid failure. Noted, Wilson replied. But I'd rather risk a power failure than end up as lab specimens. The Empire clearly isn't interested in treating us as equals. He turned to the communications officer. Send an emergency transmission back to Earth. Include all scanned data of Imperial technology and read statements about their territorial claims. Market Priority Alpha. Message away, Captain Parker confirmed. Quantum burst complete. Earth should receive it within the hour. Wilson stared at the tactical display. The Imperial cruisers were moving into a standard containment formation. Their tactics are predictable, likely developed against enemies with similar technological philosophy. Operations Officer Garcia reported, they haven't detected our quantum shielding or the secondary reactor. Wilson smiled slightly. Good. Let's keep it that way until we have to show our hand. Admiral Grant watched with satisfaction as his 3 cruisers surrounded the small human vessel. Primitive design, he remarked to his tactical officer. Look at those exposed hull plates, the inefficient engine placement, it's as if they assembled it from spare parts. Our scans indicate their power output is minimal, Admiral, the tactical officer confirmed. Grant's mandibles clicked in amusement. Open a channel. The communications array hummed, and soon Captain Wilson's image appeared on the main screen. You are surrounded by Imperial forces. Power down your engines and weapon systems. You will be escorted to Imperial Station 9 for processing and inspection. Wilson's expression remained neutral. Admiral, we are in the process of plotting a course out of your territory. We'll be on our way shortly. Grant's crest fully extended in anger. Perhaps I wasn't clear. This is not a negotiation. Your vessel will submit to Imperial authority or be destroyed. The human captain simply nodded. I understand completely. Defiance out. As the transmission ended, Grant turned to his weapons officer. Activate tractor beams. Lock onto that vessel and prepare to disable their engines. On the Defiance, alarms blared as Imperial energy signatures spiked. They're activating tractor systems, Garcia reported. Attempting to lock onto our hull. Wilson nodded. Initiate Mirage. Chief Engineer Bell activated a series of commands. Deep within the Defiance's systems that had remained dormant surged to life. The ship's apparent power signature doubled, then tripled. Mirage system active, Bell confirmed. Tractor beams unable to establish lock on the lead Imperial cruiser, the tactical officer exclaimed. Grant watched in disbelief as the small ship's energy signature transformed. Sections of the hull that had appeared solid were dissolving, revealing different structures beneath. What trickery is this? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral. Our scans can't penetrate their hull anymore. There's some kind of interference field. Wilson gave the next order calmly. Activate secondary propulsion system. The Defiance shuddered slightly as hidden engines ignited. What had appeared to be decorative hull elements reconfigured, revealing advanced thrust nozzles. Course plotted clear of Imperial space, Harris confirmed. Ready on your mark. Wilson stared at the Imperial vessels on the view screen. They came expecting to find primitives. Let's not disappoint them entirely. He paused. Fire conventional missiles. Aim for their sensor arrays, then execute jump once their targeting is disrupted. Admiral Grant watched in shock as the supposedly primitive human ship launched a barrage of what appeared to be simple projectiles. His tactical officer's dismissive laugh turned to alarm as the projectiles suddenly changed course mid-flight, each splitting into multiple warheads. Evasive action. Grant ordered, but it was too late. The missiles detonated precisely against the sensor arrays of all three Imperial cruisers. Not powerful enough to cause serious damage, but perfectly targeted to blind their tracking systems. Restore sensors. Don't lose them. Grant shouted, but when the interference cleared, the human vessel was nowhere to be seen. Impossible, Grant whispered. Check long-range scans. They must have fled at sublight speeds. There's no trace, the tactical officer replied frantically. It's as if they simply vanished. Grant's crest flattened against his head. In his 3-century career, he had never failed to capture a target. Emperor Vorex would not be pleased. Light years away, the Defiance exited its jump. The experimental drive was cooling after its successful deployment. Jump complete, Captain Harris reported. All systems functioning within parameters. Wilson nodded, relief evident on his face. Status of Imperial pursuit? None detected. Our jump signature was masked as planned. As far as they can tell, we disappeared into thin air. The bridge crew exchanged small smiles. Their deception had worked perfectly. What the Empire had seen was exactly what Earth wanted them to see. Wilson turned to communications. Prepare another message to Earth Command. The Empire took the bait, they believe we're technologically inferior. And when they realized their mistake, he trailed off. Harris asked quietly, what then? Wilson's expression hardened. By then, it will be too late. The fleets are already assembling. The Empire has no idea what's coming. 6 months had passed since the encounter with the human vessel Defiance. On the Imperial border outpost Sentinel-7, Lieutenant Vox stifled a yawn as he monitored the long-range sensor array. His assignment to this remote station was punishment for a minor infraction, and the tedium was worse than any formal discipline. A soft alert from his console broke the monotony. Vox straightened, all 4 eyes focusing on the readings. That's odd, he muttered, adjusting the scanner settings. The console showed multiple vessels approaching Imperial space. Their energy signatures resembled common merchant ships used by several client species of the Empire. Yet something felt wrong about their formation, too organized for typical trading vessels. Vox opened a communication channel to his superior. Commander Drill, sensors have detected a fleet of what appear to be merchant vessels approaching from Sector 19. Merchants? Commander Drill's voice carried a note of surprise. That sector has no established trade routes. Yes, sir. There are 17 vessels in total. Configuration suggests standard cargo haulers, but their formation is unusual. There was a pause before Drill responded. Maintain surveillance. I'll alert Central Command. In the flagship of the approaching fleet, General Maxwell reviewed the tactical display. 17 human ships moved in precise formation, their outer hulls disguised to mimic common merchant vessels of the galactic fringe. Status report, Maxwell ordered. Colonel Rivers nodded crisply. All ships report ready, General. Weapon systems are hot but masked. Transformation protocols on standby. Maxwell studied the Imperial outpost growing larger on the view screen. Intelligence gathered over the past decade had identified it as a lightly defended monitoring station, the perfect target for humanity's first strike. The Empire believes we're still licking our wounds after that single encounter, Maxwell said. Their arrogance will be their downfall. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. Unlike the Defiance's diplomatic mission, these ships carried Earth's finest military personnel. After the encounter with Admiral Grant, Earth's combined governments had accelerated the military expansion program. Decades of preparation were compressed into months. "We're being hailed," Communications Officer Wright announced. Maxwell nodded. "Open a channel, but maintain merchant vessel protocols." He pressed several controls. "Channel open." "Unidentified vessels," a stern Imperial voice echoed through the bridge. "This is Commander Drill of Imperial Outpost Sentinel-7. You are entering restricted Imperial space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose immediately." Maxwell activated the voice modulator. "This is Trading Vessel Horizon. We represent the Outer Rim Merchant Collective. We seek permission to establish new trade routes through this sector." A pause followed. Maxwell could almost imagine the confusion on the Imperial commander's face. "Trading Vessel Horizon. No trade applications have been filed with Imperial authorities. All 17 of your vessels must hold position for inspection." Maxwell smiled coldly. "Of course, Commander. We'll comply immediately." He motioned for Wright to cut the transmission. "They've taken the bait." Maxwell said to his officers, "Prepare for Phase 2. Alert all ships. Transformation protocols, activate on my mark." Commander Drill watched the approaching vessels with growing suspicion. Despite their compliance, something felt off. "Deploy inspection teams," he ordered. "And as a precaution, activate defensive systems." His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, these appear to be simple merchants. Protocol suggests." "I'm aware of protocol," Drill interrupted. "But 17 unregistered ships appearing simultaneously is not standard merchant behavior." The second-in-command nodded and moved to comply. 2 patrol cruisers detached from the station, moving toward the mysterious fleet. "Sir, sensor operator reporting," came the call. "Energy spike from the merchant vessels." Drill turned sharply. "What kind of spike?" "Unknown, sir. It's unlike anything in our database. The ships, they're changing." "Execute transformation now," General Maxwell commanded. Throughout the 17 ships, hidden mechanisms activated. Outer hull plating retracted, revealing weapon ports and advanced shielding arrays. Engines reconfigured from commercial patterns to military configurations. Each vessel essentially turned itself inside out, shedding the merchant disguise to reveal the warships beneath. "All ships, report transformation complete," Colonel Rivers announced. "Weapons hot. Shields at maximum." Maxwell's expression remained calm. "Commence attack pattern Delta. Target their communication arrays first." Commander Drill stared in horror as the supposed merchant vessels transformed before his eyes. What moments before had been unremarkable trading ships now floated sleek, aggressive warships of unknown design. "By the Emperor," he whispered. "Sound battle stations. Get those patrol cruisers back here immediately," he ordered, but it was too late. The human warships unleashed a coordinated barrage of weapons fire. The patrol cruisers, designed for customs enforcement rather than combat, had no chance. They were disabled in seconds. Their engines and weapon systems were precisely targeted. "Send word to Earth," Maxwell ordered. "Operation First Strike successful. Tell them the Empire now knows we're coming." In his private thoughts, Maxwell knew that across the galaxy, Emperor Vorax would soon learn of this defeat. The Empire that had stood for millennia would face an enemy unlike any other, an enemy they had fatally underestimated because of their seemingly fragile appearance and deceptive technology. Humanity had drawn first blood. The real war was about to begin. Emperor Vorax's inner sanctum pulsed with an ominous crimson light that matched his fury. The massive being towered over his war council, 6 arms gesturing sharply as holographic displays showed the growing human incursion into Imperial space. 3 outposts fallen in 2 weeks, Vorex hissed, his voice echoing through the chamber. A species unknown to us until 6 months ago has breached our borders, disabled our defenses, and continues to advance unchecked. Grand Admiral FX, the Empire's most decorated military commander, stood rigidly before his emperor. The humans employ unconventional tactics, Your Eminence. Their technology appears primitive at first scan, but conceals advanced capabilities beneath. Excuses. Vorex slammed a fist against his throne, cracking the ornic material. For millennia, the Empire has crushed all opposition. We have subjugated beings from 1,000 worlds, yet these humans make fools of my commanders. Imperial Science Director Mole stepped forward cautiously. Your Eminence, xenobiologists have analyzed the limited data we have on human physiology. They evolved on a high-gravity world with no natural armor, minimal sensory capabilities, and no innate weapons. By all biological metrics, they should be primitive. Yet they are not. Vorex said coldly, clearly, our understanding is flawed. No more delays. I am authorizing the deployment of the 7th Imperial Fleet. Crush this human rebellion before it spreads further. Show them the true might of the Empire. Grand Admiral Thex bowed deeply. It shall be done, Your Eminence. He turned to his staff. Bring me prisoners and intact ships for study. I want to understand how these creatures deceived us so thoroughly. Admiral Stone of the Earth Defense Force studied the tactical display aboard her flagship, Determination. Intelligence reports from stealth probes confirm our suspicions, she remarked to her executive officer, Commander Patel. The Empire is mobilizing its largest battle group yet. 300 ships, Patel observed. Even with our technological advantages, those are concerning odds. Stone nodded grimly. Which is why we won't fight them conventionally. She tapped a control, and the display shifted to show a dense asteroid field near the Proin system. We'll make them stand here. They're using some kind of focused energy. Patel studied the location. That's a natural choke point. The Imperial fleet will have to navigate through that narrow corridor to reach our new colony. Exactly. Stone opened a channel to the engineering bay. Chief Engineer Miller, status report on the mining vessels. The screen switched to show a woman in her 40s, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's Engineering Corps. Lisa Miller had been a brilliant mining engineer before the war. Now her expertise was being put to a different use. Final modifications complete, Admiral Miller reported. All 20 mining vessels have been retrofitted according to specifications. From the outside, they appear to be standard resource extractors. Inside, she smiled slightly, they're anything but. Stone nodded in approval. Excellent work. Deploy them to these coordinates. She transmitted the data. The Imperial fleet will be passing through in approximately 72 hours. Grand Admiral Fex observed the massive Imperial armada from the bridge of his dreadnought, Emperor's Fist. Ships stretched as far as the eye could see, their formation perfect after centuries of military tradition. No force in the galaxy could stand against such might, he mused. The human fleet has been located, his second-in-command reported. They appear to be establishing defensive positions near the Proian asteroid field. Fex studied the tactical display. A curious choice. The asteroids will limit their maneuverability as much as ours. Perhaps they are more desperate than we thought. The officer suggested, scans show only 60 warships, plus some civilian mining vessels evacuating the area. Fex's crest rose slightly in anticipation. They are outmatched and they know it. Set course for the asteroid field. We will crush them in one decisive battle. As the Imperial fleet approached the asteroid field, their sensors detected the human warships forming a defensive line. Civilian mining vessels moved sluggishly away from the impending battlefield. Fex observed, the mining vessels are moving too slowly. They will still be in the combat zone when we engage. His tactical officer noted, their warships are positioning between us and the civilian vessels. Fex's mandibles clicked in amusement. Such sentiment will be their downfall. Prepare all weapons. Target their primary warships first. Aboard the Determination, Admiral Stone watched the Imperial fleet approach. Their formation is impressive but predictable, she said quietly. They've taken the bait. The mining vessels are in position, Commander Patel nodded. Chief Miller's modifications are working perfectly, Stone confirmed. She opened a secure channel. All ships, execute Operation Trojan. I repeat, execute Operation Trojan. Grand Admiral Fex was moments from giving the order to fire when alarms blared across his bridge. Admiral, energy spikes from the mining vessels, his sensor officer shouted in disbelief. What the? He spun toward the display. Throughout the asteroid field, the seemingly harmless mining vessels were transforming. Outer hull plating split open, revealing batteries of advanced weapons. Massive hangar bays that had been disguised as ore processing chambers disgorged swarms of fighter craft. Impossible, Fex whispered as the tactical display updated. What had appeared to be 20 slow-moving civilian ships were actually 20 massive carriers, each larger than an Imperial cruiser. New contacts, the tactical officer reported, voice rising in panic. 300, 400, still rising. Small craft launching from the mining vessels. Chief Engineer Miller watched with satisfaction as her modified ships performed perfectly. All carrier systems nominal, she reported to Admiral Stone. Launching fighters and assault craft now. Each converted mining vessel released dozens of human fighters. Their excavation equipment, once used to cut through asteroids, had been repurposed into weapons capable of slicing through Imperial hull plating. The Empire built their ships to withstand known weapons, but our mining equipment operates on completely different principles. It cuts matter at the molecular level. The Imperial fleet found itself suddenly surrounded. The human warships advanced from the front while hundreds of smaller craft poured from the converted mining vessels, attacking from all sides. Evasive maneuvers. Fex ordered. Bring dreadnoughts to bear on those carriers. But the asteroid field limited the Imperial ships' ability to maneuver. Their large capital ships, designed for open space warfare, could not bring their main weapons to bear in the confined space. Meanwhile, the human fighters demonstrated astonishing agility. They wove between asteroids, using the natural cover to approach Imperial ships from blind spots, then struck with their repurposed mining equipment. Imperial shields, calibrated to defend against energy weapons and projectiles, proved ineffective against the molecular cutting beams. Admiral, the dreadnought Imperial Resolve reports critical damage to its engine section, a voice announced. Fex watched in horror as one of his 5 dreadnoughts listed to one side, its massive engines dark. Hundreds of tiny human fighters swarmed around it like insects, each delivering precise and devastating cuts.